Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling a really ambitious project. It's within the Solana ecosystem, Solayer, ticker layer. If you're tracking how blockchain tech is, looking to break through its current performance ceilings,
Yeah,
well, this is a development you'll probably want to get your head around.
absolutely. We're going to try and unpack Solayer's core innovations and, crucially, what they might signal for the future capabilities of Solana.
Yeah.
Our aim is really to strip away some of the, let's say, dense technical jargon
Right.
and deliver the essential insights you need so you can understand why this project is, well, generating some buzz.
And we've got our information from Solayer's official channels, their website, docs, all current as of, let's see, February 11th, 2025. That's the context here.
Correct.
Now, before we really dig into the nuts and bolts, maybe let's quickly frame why a project like Solayer is even necessary. I mean, we all know blockchain has huge potential, but
But scaling is still the big hurdle, right? Real-world adoption often bumps up against limits. Transaction speed, finality time.
exactly, that performance bottleneck.
Yeah. The vision of dApps powering everything, finance, social, whatever. It needs a serious leap in the underlying infrastructure. Solayer is stepping up to tackle that with some pretty novel approaches.
Okay, let's dive in then. What is Solayer? At its heart, what's the elevator pitch?
Okay, so in essence, Solayer is pioneering in two key areas on Solana. First, it's the very first platform that allows for restaking on Solana.
Restaking. Okay.
Think of it as a way to put your already staked SOL to even more use within the network. Second, and this is maybe the really groundbreaking part, Solayer is building the first hardware-accelerated Solana Virtual Machine blockchain, the SVM.
Hardware accelerated. Okay, that immediately catches my ear. What are they hoping to achieve with that approach?
Well, their main goals are seriously ambitious. They want to massively increase the number of transactions Solana can process per second. They're talking like millions.
The millions. Wow.
Yeah, millions of TPS, and get this, bring transaction finality down to near zero latency.
Near zero. Okay.
Achieving that kind of performance, it could unlock whole new types of dApps that just aren't feasible today.
Millions of transactions per second. That's a staggering leap.
Right.
Now, you mentioned restaking earlier. How does that fit into this scaling goal?
Right, so Solayer introduced this restaking concept through something they call stake weight quality of service, or WQoS.
For WQS, got it.
So imagine you've staked your SOL. With WQoS, you can essentially lend some of the, let's call it the weight of that stake, to specific dApps running on Solana.
Lend the weight.
Yeah, and this can give those DACs sort of preferential treatment for network resources. It helps ensure their transactions get processed more efficiently.
So it's kind of like giving certain dApps priority access
Yeah.
to the network's processing power.
That's a good way to think about it, yeah. And then to really push things further, they're developing InfiniSVM.
InfiniSVM.
That's the hardware-accelerated blockchain part we mentioned. It's specifically architected for what they see as, well, virtually limitless scaling of the Solana Virtual Machine.
Virtually limitless. That's a bold claim. Let's get into the mechanics. How does this hardware acceleration actually work in a blockchain context?
Okay, so what's really innovative here is that Solayer is taking core blockchain tasks, things like scheduling transactions, verifying signatures, even removing duplicate data. And they're offloading them from the general purpose CPUs onto specialized hardware.
Right, like dedicated processors for specific jobs.
Exactly. Think of it like having a team of specialists instead of one person juggling everything. They're using things like programmable network switches and smart NELICs.
Smart Nellies.
Yeah, specialized network cards that can actually do some processing themselves.
So not just relying on the main computer brain,
Yeah.
but bringing in these specialized co-processors.
Precisely. They've even designed what they call a megaliter architecture.
Gigaliter, okay.
This involves clusters of computers that pre-process transactions. They feed them into these programmable switches that sequence everything. And then for more complex stuff, they use an FPGA NIC.
FPGA, Field Programmable Gate Array.
You got it. A field programmable gate array network interface card. Think of an FPGA as like a super customizable chip. You can program it to do very specific tasks extremely efficiently.
Okay.
And these FPGA NICs use a high-performance networking tech called InfiniBand.
InfiniBand. That sounds like something out of a supercomputer lab.
You're not wrong. InfiniBand is typically used in high-performance computing. What makes it so valuable here is its use of RDMA.
RDMA. Remote direct memory access.
Exactly. This lets computers directly access each other's memory without bogging down the central processor.
Ah, like a direct express lane for data.
Yeah.
Skipping the main traffic hub.
Perfect analogy. It significantly cuts down delays latency, which is absolutely crucial if you're aiming for those near zero finality times.
Okay, so it's this combo, specialized hardware components and this super fast networking. That's the speed secret. Now, how does this scale the SVM itself from just one processor to these multi-executor clusters you mentioned?
Right, this is where InfiniBand really shines. It's the game changer. They're essentially taking the single engine of the SVM and replicating it into multiple interconnected engines. Those are the executor clusters.
Okay, multiple engines running in parallel.
Exactly. And because they're linked by InfiniBand, these clusters can talk and coordinate at incredible speeds. It allows for parallel processing of transactions.
Like going from one checkout lane to dozens, all working at once.
Precisely. Dramatically boosts throughput, the number of customers or transactions you can handle.
That paints a clear picture. Now, Solayer isn't just theory, right? They have actual products using this tech. Let's talk features. First, that Solana restaking with SOL. We touched on it, but what are the practical results? How's the traction?
Yeah, so as we said, users delegate their staked SOL, often the liquid staked version, sSOL for
Right.
Solana dApps. This boosts the network resources for those apps, fastening more reliable transactions for them.
And the adoption.
It's been pretty remarkable, actually. By February 2025, the total value locked, the TVL, in this Solana restaking via Solayer, it shot past $500 million.
$500 million. Wow.
Yeah, significant capital, and over 295,000 unique depositors that put them, easily among the top DeFi protocols on Solana.
Okay.
And their hardware optimizations, they've apparently allowed them to offer some pretty attractive yields for restakers, too.
$500 million TVL, high yields. Definitely significant traction. Okay, next up. SUSD. Their stablecoin backed by U.S. Treasury bills. What's the deal there?
SUSD is interesting. It's the first synthetic stablecoin on Solana that gets its stability from real-world assets, RWAs, specifically the yield from US T-bills.
Okay, so RWA-backed yield.
Right. So it aims for stable value, obviously, but also throws off a yield component for holders. Beyond that, Solayer sees SUSD playing a role in securing decentralized systems, too.
And how's that doing?
Rapid growth as well. It topped $32 million in TVL in under 3 months. Shows strong market interest.
$32 million in 3 months is fast.
Yeah. And it's worth noting they partnered with OpenEden. They're a regulated entity, the actual issuer of the underlying T-bills.
RWA integration is a huge trend. Makes sense. Now, the Solayer debit card. This sounds very tangible. A way for users to actually use their on-chain stuff. Tell us about that.
This is where the tech starts feeling really real for the user, right? It's a non-custodial metal debit card.
Non-custodial meaning users keep control.
Exactly. You always control your crypto. The key thing is it lets you spend your digital assets directly from your on-chain balances.
Oh, interesting.
And that includes assets on both their high-speed InfiniSVM network and the main Solana chain.
Seamless spending from either.
That seems to be the goal. And the community response, apparently huge. Over 40,000 people qualified for the card through a community sale.
40,000, that's serious interest.
Yeah, it's a concrete example of bridging DeFi and, everyday spending.
Really compelling. And looks like they're building out more tools with this savings account feature too.
Exactly. The goal seems to be a seamless, permissionless, on-chain experience, something that mirrors the convenience of, modern digital banks.
So staking, spending, earning.
Yeah, managing all your digital assets, all within the Solayer ecosystem.
A cohesive DeFi experience.
Yeah.
Got it. Now let's talk about the token, Layer itself. What does it do in this ecosystem?
Okay, so currently the main job of the Layer token is governance.
Governance. Standard stuff.
Pretty much. Layer holders can participate in key decisions, voting on proposals for, say, adding new asset support, managing the treasury diversification strategies, things like that, and influencing ecosystem initiatives like grant programs.
And what about the future? Any other planned uses for the token?
Oh yeah, they have bigger plans for Layer utility down the road.
Like what?
Well, they see it playing a critical role in their proof-of-stake consensus for verifying the network. So if you stake Layer, you'd help secure the network and earn block rewards.
Okay, staking rewards.
Right. And also, they intend for Layer to become the native gas token, the token you use to pay for transactions on the Solayer network.
Gas token. Makes sense.
And interestingly, they've proposed a deflationary mechanism. Half of all the gas fees collected would be burned.
Burned. So reducing the supply over time.
Potentially, yeah. increasing scarcity. It's an interesting model.
Definitely. What about the token supply itself? How many are there? How's it being distributed?
The total and max supply is capped at 1 billion layer tokens. 1 billion. When it first listed, the initial circulating supply was around 210 million, so about 21% of the total.
And distribution. Any airdrops?
Yep. They allocated 50 million tokens for an airdrop to early holders. 30 million of those were dropped right at the token generation event, the TGE.
Okay, that gives us a good handle on the tokenomics. Let's zoom out again. What's Solayer's big picture? Their overarching vision and mission in the blockchain space?
Fundamentally, their mission is to break past the limits of software-only scaling in blockchain, especially on Solana.
Right.
They believe that for truly transformative throughput, you need hardware optimization.
The hardware acceleration focus again.
Exactly. Their ultimate vision. They talk about building a highly scalable and decentralized monolithic world computer.
A world computer. That sounds ambitious.
It is. They foresee a future where blockchains need to handle not just millions of human transactions, but potentially trillions from autonomous agents, IoT devices, you name it.
Trillions. Okay, that's a scale few are talking about. And they're saying this InfiniSVM tech will be wallet and chain agnostic. How does that work?
Yeah, that's key to their strategy. They want InfiniSVM to just slot seamlessly into the existing Solana ecosystem.
So users don't need a new wallet.
That's the idea. Users should be able to interact with apps running on InfiniSVM without downloading new stuff, maybe without even realizing they're on this interconnected, faster layer. It should feel like a natural extension of Solana.
Fluid integration. And this concept of a fully integrated vertical stack, what's the benefit there for the user?
By vertical stack, they mean building out the whole pipeline, from the core restaking to the sUSD stablecoin, right up to the consumer debit card.
Controlling the whole experience.
Right. Which allows for a much smoother, more user-friendly journey.
Yep.
Imagine earning yield from staking, seamlessly swapping it for sUSD, then spending that sUSD with the debit card in a shop, all within one interconnected system.
That integration could definitely cut down a lot of the usual crypto friction. Okay, looking ahead, what about their roadmap? Key milestones, especially near term.
Their 2025 roadmap is pretty packed. Q1 was focused on their incentivized testnet alpha.
Testnet alpha goals.
Key goals there: demonstrate 1 gigabit per second throughput on the chain, showcase their hardware-optimized validator software, and prove the whole vertical stack works with the Emerald debit card. You know, show the flow, stake SOL, get sUSD, spend it.
So proving the tech and the real-world use case in a test environment first. What's next? Q2.
Q2 2025, for their testnet beta, they're targeting a big jump, 5 GBPs throughput.
5 gigabits.
They're also working on building a bridge connecting InfiniSVM to the main Solana network, plus initial work on fraud detection mechanisms, keeping the network secure.
Right. And in Q3, testnet gamma.
Q3, they aim for 6 GBPs throughput, more refining of the Solana integration, and implementing more robust fraud proofs involving staking and voting. And here's something really interesting. They also plan to integrate a chain-native large language model inference endpoint, an LLM, right on the chain.
An on-chain LLM.
Wow.
Okay, that opens up some wild possibilities for AI dApps.
Doesn't it? Very forward-thinking.
So what are the final targets for the mainnet launch? Codenamed Ictaxis, planned for Q4 2025.
The main target is seriously impressive. 10 gigabits per second throughput.
10 GB pace.
Yeah. Plus, having the layer token fully working as the network's gas token by then, the integrated chain-native LLM should be live, and a comprehensive fraud-proof system using staking.
That's a really ambitious timeline, rapid pace of development. Now, a project like this needs a strong ecosystem, partnerships, community. What can you tell us there?
They seem to be doing well on that front. They've already got over 45 ecosystem partners integrated.
45 plus. Good start.
And they've landed some key strategic partnerships with major crypto exchanges. Like with Binance, they launched BNSOL for enhanced staking rewards, plus wallet and earn integrations.
Okay. Binance, OKX.
Yep. OKX for deep Web3 wallet integration. Bybit was the launch partner for their liquid staking token BBSOL. And BitGet introduced BGSOL, the first exchange-backed liquid restaking token on Solana, apparently.
So, hitting the major exchanges.
Seems like it. And that partnership with OpenEden for the T-bills behind sUSD is crucial, too.
Sounds like they're building solid relationships across the industry. What about the community itself? Are people engaged?
Very much so, it seems. They have a really active global community. Their main hubs are the official website, a busy Twitter feed, Discord server, Telegram for announcements, and a YouTube channel.
Standard channels, but active.
Yeah, and they also provide detailed white papers for anyone wanting the deep technical dive. The huge interest around things like the debit card launch. That suggests a pretty dedicated user base.
Always a good sign. Okay, let's try and wrap this up. Synthesize what we've discussed. What are the main takeaways from our deep dive into Solayer?
Well, in essence, Solayer is really pushing a different way to scale blockchain, specifically on Solana, by leaning hard into hardware acceleration.
The core innovation.
Right. Combine that with their restaking mechanism, sysWQS, and building out this tightly integrated ecosystem, sUSD, the debit card they're positioning themselves as potentially transformative for Solana.
Yeah.
The prospect of much, much higher throughput and way lower latency, that could genuinely unlock new types of dApps that just aren't possible right now.
Absolutely. And for you, the listener, hopefully wanting to grasp these big shifts in blockchain without getting totally lost in the weeds, this deep dive should give you a clear picture of what Solayer's building and why it's, well, ambitious. This isn't just tweaking things. It's potentially a whole new approach to blockchain architecture.
Which leads to a really interesting thought, doesn't it? What are the wider implications if projects like Solayer, these hardware-accelerated blockchains, actually succeed?
Right. If they deliver on that scalability promise.
What new use cases could pop up? Think about apps needing insane transaction speeds and near-instant responses, like truly high-frequency DeFi, or maybe massive on-chain games with millions playing at once, complex decentralized simulations.
I think we can barely imagine now.
Exactly. So we definitely encourage you, if you're curious, check out the links in the show notes, go to the Solayer site, look at the white papers, dig deeper into the tech side if that's your thing.
Definitely worth exploring further. The work happening at Solayer is certainly something to keep a very close eye on as this whole blockchain space keeps evolving so fast. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.